This EQ was first created some 70 years ago and is still popular nowadays. And while some EQs have more narrow bands and focus more on surgical applications, this one is more of a tone shaper. Let's talk about revisiting a classic with the Rawtech collection.
You and I, a delicate rise, I'll never feel.
Hi everyone and welcome, I hope you're doing well. My name is ThomC and today we're going to be talking about the Rawtech collection by NoiseAsh. NoiseAsh is a company that's made mixing and mastering plugins that we'll be reviewing later on this channel, and they've also made some great instruments, but today we're going to be talking about the Rawtech collection, which is inspired by the Rawtech EQs that are very famous, and we'll be listening to the Rawtech collection in different applications, drums, vocals and more. And also just know that the EQ is actually available in separate EQs, but we'll mostly be playing with the heritage part of the EQ, which contains the filters, the mid-range and the high and lows, the EQP1A part of the EQ. So let's check it out, and I hope you'll enjoy it. So this is the main interface for the Rawtech Heritage Pro, and we'll go from top to bottom. On the top left hand side we've got a GUI resizer that goes up until 200% for you GUI resizer fans, and we've got no sampling feature here. Then we've got the information here with the socials, NoiseAsh socials. Then we've got the preset section where you can actually add some presets to your favorites here, pretty easy. Then you've got a save preset function as well as import export presets. Then from top to bottom on the left hand side we've got an on and off switch. This is the filter section with a stepped filter that goes from 50 Hz to 2K. And then we've got a on the right hand side from 15K to 1.5. Then we've got the EQ1A. If you're familiar with the EQP1A, that's the same, I think, layout. Again, on and off switch on the left-hand side. Boost and cut or boost and attenuate with the famous Rawtech trick that we'll be taking a look at a bit later. Then we've got in the middle the bandwidth selector for the high frequency. So from broad to sharp Q. Then boost and cut again. And this is the attenuation selector frequency. Then we've got an analog control here that basically enhances the harmonic saturation of the device, and then a V-bump control, which is actually a volume bump control that you can sometimes on the Rawtech emulations and on the original unit you would find a bit of a volume bump whenever you switch on the device. And you have the option of turning that off, and I'll be turning it off for the demo here for the purpose of gain matching, but actually I'll be using the gain control as well here. And then you've got the mid-range equalizer down here, same again, on and off switch. And the P control is actually boost. It goes from 200 Hz to 1K. Then we've got the dip, which is actually cut, and it goes from 200 Hz to 5K, then 1.5 to 5K peak here. The Rawtech is also available as separate plugins, so you basically can purchase the EQ1A and the EQ5M separately if you need to. That's quite handy as well. So what I'd like to do first is use the EQ on one of my songs called Quote Unquote Home, and it's featured on my album Hypothermic Love. You'll find a link down below. What I'd like to do on that song is actually smooth out some of the harshness around 3K, add a bit of warmth in the low end, for lack of a better word, and then compensate with a bit of top end. So we'll listen to the portion of the song that I've chosen.
Block the airways, we're not coming back, we'll be diving home.
So yeah, I do think that there's too much presence, there's too much of that 3K thing, both in the acoustic guitar and the vocal. So I will try and smooth it out with the 3K control here and cut a bit of that energy at 3K.
Block the airways, we're not coming back, we'll be diving home. Block the airways, we're not coming back. We'll be diving home.
Let's listen before and after. Before.
Block the airways, we're not coming back. We'll be diving home.
After.
Block the airways, we're not coming back. We'll be diving home.
This may be a tiny bit too much, but this is for the purpose of showing you how this EQ sounds. So now we'll try and compensate with a bit of top end, just to add a bit of shine to it.
Block the airways, we're not coming back. We'll be diving home.
I don't know if I prefer it at 12K or 16. Let's try.
Block the airways, we're not coming back. We'll be diving home. Block the airways, we're not coming back. We'll be diving home.
I think that for the purpose of this, I'll just do this at 16K with quite a broad bandwidth. This is, you know, the 16K control on most Portex that I've tried, as plugins, do add that hi-fi thing that I quite like. So it's pretty nice. Let's add a bit of that 100 Hertz and see if we can bring back some of that warmth.
Block the airways, we're not coming back. We'll be diving home. Block the airways, we're not coming back. We'll be diving home.
Right, so this is before.
Block the airways, we're not coming back. We'll be diving home.
This is after, and I'll try to compensate here with the gain control. Gain match it, or volume match it.
Block the airways, we're not coming back. Be diving home.
Without.
Block the airways, we're not coming back. We'll be diving home.
And with.
Block the airways, we're not coming back. We'll be diving home.
I think that even for like very smooth and broad applications, this EQ would work really well on a stereo bus or mastering applications, and I think it's been used for that purpose as well. So yeah, I really like using Portex for that purpose. Let's have a listen to the EQ in other examples now. So now we'll listen to one of my friend's song. His name is Karman Will, and this song is called Nos Idées Noires. Thank you very much, Will, for this song. What I'd like to do, so this is a song that I mixed and mastered, but here, of course, I've removed all the plugins. And what I'd like to do is add a bit of energy in the low end and try and keep, or rather tighten up the bottom end and then add a bit of top end sizzle. We'll listen to the example first.
On s'est noyé dans la rancune, on s'est perdu dans nos souvenirs, on a sombré dans l'amertume. Et maintenant, nous voilà seuls avec nos idées noires.
Okay, let's try and add a bit of that 60 Hertz. Right.
On s'est noyé dans la rancune, on s'est perdu dans nos souvenirs, on a sombré dans l'amertume. Et maintenant, nous voilà seuls avec nos idées noires. On s'est noyé dans la rancune, on s'est perdu dans nos souvenirs, on a sombré dans l'amertume. Et maintenant, nous voilà seuls avec nos idées noires.
Without.
On s'est noyé dans la rancune, on s'est perdu dans nos souvenirs, on a sombré dans l'amertume. Et maintenant, nous voilà seuls avec nos idées noires. On s'est noyé dans la rancune, on s'est perdu dans nos souvenirs, on a sombré dans l'amertume. Et maintenant, nous voilà seuls avec nos idées noires.
Let's try and do the Portic trick by removing some energy at the same frequency, so at 60 Hertz as well, and see what it sounds like.
On s'est noyé dans la rancune, on s'est perdu dans nos souvenirs, on a sombré dans l'amertume. Et maintenant, nous voilà seuls avec nos idées noires. On s'est noyé dans la rancune, on s'est perdu dans nos souvenirs, on a sombré dans l'amertume. Et maintenant, nous voilà seuls avec nos idées noires.
I don't think it's bad, but I do think that it's too much. I think that it just changes the tone of the mid-range so much that I need something that's a bit less bold. And I think for that we'll go and remove a bit of energy at 200 Hertz and see what it sounds like.
On s'est noyé dans la rancune, on s'est perdu dans nos souvenirs, on a sombré dans l'amertume. Et maintenant, nous voilà seuls avec nos idées noires. On s'est noyé dans la rancune, on s'est perdu dans nos souvenirs, on a sombré dans l'amertume. Et maintenant, nous voilà seuls avec nos...
I think it's quite good at, adding a bit of energy on the kick drum and as well tighten up the low end or remove a bit of the mud around it. So let's listen to it before and after bypassed. First.
On s'est noyé dans la rancune, on s'est perdu dans nos souvenirs, on a sombré dans l'amertume. Et maintenant, nous voilà seuls avec nos idées noires.
And with.
On s'est noyé dans la rancune, on s'est perdu dans nos souvenirs, on a sombré dans l'amertume. Et maintenant, nous voilà seuls avec nos idées noires. On s'est noyé dans la rancune, on s'est perdu dans nos souvenirs, on a sombré dans l'amertume. Et maintenant, nous voilà seuls avec nos idées noires. On s'est noyé dans la rancune, on s'est perdu dans nos souvenirs, on a sombré dans l'amertume. Et maintenant, nous voilà seuls avec nos idées noires. On s'est noyé dans la rancune, on s'est perdu dans nos souvenirs, on a sombré dans l'amertume. Et maintenant, nous voilà seuls avec nos idées noires. On s'est noyé dans la rancune, on s'est perdu dans nos souvenirs, on a sombré dans l'amertume. Et maintenant, nous voilà seuls avec nos idées noires.
So there could well be too much, but I think that even for tightening up the low end, the CQ works really well. Now let's try and add a bit of high-end sizzle. We'll try and boost the frequency at 12K. So this, and broaden the bandwidth as well. And we'll try it before and after.
On s'est noyé dans la rancune, on s'est perdu dans nos souvenirs, on a sombré dans l'amertume. Et maintenant, nous voilà seuls avec nos idées noires. On s'est noyé dans la rancune, on s'est perdu dans nos souvenirs, on a sombré dans l'amertume. Et maintenant, nous voilà seuls avec nos idées noires. On s'est noyé dans la rancune, on s'est perdu dans nos souvenirs, on a sombré dans l'amertume. Et maintenant, on s'est noyé dans la rancune, on s'est perdu dans nos souvenirs, on a sombré dans l'amertume. Et maintenant, nous voilà seuls avec nos idées noires. On s'est noyé dans la rancune, on s'est perdu dans nos souvenirs, on a sombré dans l'amertume. Et maintenant, nous voilà seuls avec nos idées noires. On s'est noyé dans la rancune, on s'est perdu dans nos souvenirs, on a sombré dans l'amertume. Et maintenant, nous voilà seuls avec nos idées noires. On s'est noyé dans la rancune, on s'est perdu dans nos souvenirs, on a sombré dans l'amertume. Et maintenant, nous voilà seuls avec nos idées noires.
So I think that's the reason why the Portic EQs are still used today for those large, colourful brushstrokes that really help carving up the tone of a song. So yeah, let's try and take a look at other examples. So now we'll listen to an acoustic track that I've recorded, and we'll listen to some acoustic guitars, first in the context of the song and without EQ, and then with EQ. So what I did on this was I removed a bit of low end at 100 hertz, so I filtered out some of the low end. I added a bit of 100 hertz as well to compensate, because I thought that it was not thick enough. There's too much of that low information disappeared. And then I boosted a bit at 16K with a fairly sharp Q, and removed a bit of that 700 hertz because I thought that it was too cluttered there. So we'll listen to it first without the EQ and then after with. So this was without, with. So now we'll listen to the guitars in solo, just for you to have a better listen to what's going on. Listen to how the low end disappears, how everything kind of becomes a bit clearer, and also how the focus changes with that top end boost. So that was without, now with. Now I'm going to alternate in the mix with and without. Without first. So that's it for the acoustic guitars. So now we'll listen to the kick drum, first without EQ and then with. What I've done on this was actually the Portec trick where I boost and cut the same frequency here at 60 Hertz. The thing is that when you boost the frequency on its own, it kind of has a less focused sound. And when you bring back, or when you attenuate the same frequency, the sound is actually more focused. We'll listen to it without the EQ first and then after with. Listen to how the sound of the song actually changes, and the sound of the bass in general, how it all becomes warmer. Okay, now we'll listen to what it sounds like in solo. And that's it for the kick drum. So this is the EQP1A or EQ1A section of the EQ. And we'll listen to the hi-hat in context of the song with first without the EQ and then with. I did a generous boost at 10K with a fairly broad Q. First without the EQ. Right, now we'll listen to it solo without the EQ and then after with. Actually, I'll alternate between the two. Listen to how the low end disappears and how the focus is really in the top end when I actually didn't do anything to the low end. And that's that for the hi-hat. So now we're going to be working on the sound of the snare with the EQ1A section of the plugin. What I did here is actually added a bit of low information at 100 Hertz and cut that information as well, a bit of that, just for a matter of focus. And I think that's the way Pultec EQs work in general, the way you have to make those knobs interact with each other. And here I added a bit of high information, high end at 5K. So we'll listen to the snare without the EQ first, and then with in the context of the song. Now we'll listen to it in solo. I actually quite like, in folk music and in music in general, I quite like when the snares are beefy, and that's the case here. And especially, I mean, in folk music, you have a bit more room to work with the, like deeper sounding snares. So that's it for the snare. So now we're going to be working again with the Heritage Pro version of the EQ. And what we're going to do is work on the bass without and with the EQ. I filtered out some of the top end at 8K and boosted and cut as well some of the low information at 30 Hertz. The reason why I chose 30 Hertz is because I just thought it sounded better than boosted it at 60 or at 100 Hertz. I did boost the kick drum at 60 Hertz before, but I think that for it was more done for the purpose of this demo. But if I had to choose, I think I would have that pillowy sound of the bass. I think it fits the mood of the song more than having a punchy kick drum in the low end. So first without the EQ. Right, let's listen to it in solo, without. With. It does sound like I've done a lot to the mid-range when I actually didn't. I did remove a bit of top end at 8K, but I think that what changed the mid-range, or the perception that I've got of the mid-range the most, is a combination between boosting that 30 Hertz and the attenuation knob here, which actually changes the mid-range quite a bit when you boost the signal as well. So now we've got the filter and mid-range section of the EQ. We're going to work on the piano of this song, and first without the EQ and then after with. What I did here is actually filtered out some of the low end at 100 Hertz, and then I attenuated some of the lower mid-range at 300 Hertz and added a bit of mid-range at 1.5K. So let's listen to it without and then with. let's alternate between the two. And now let's listen to it in solo. I actually quite like Pultec EQs on pianos because they change the tone of the pianos really effectively, I think. So here, I think that the low mid-range attenuation or dip was really effective, as well as the 1.5K boost. So now we'll listen to all the changes that we've done on this song, first without the EQs and then after with. So we've listened to the song with the EQ put on the bass guitar rather than the kick drum, and now we'll do the opposite and see what it sounds like. I mean, both are okay, and they both have a different feel, but I think that for the purpose of this song, I would prefer the pillowy sound of the bass. I do think that it fits the genre a bit more, or actually the sound of this song in particular, so that's what I would have chosen if I had to mix the song with those Pultec EQs. I hope that you've enjoyed this, if you're still watching until now, and we'll take a look at some other examples now. So now we'll listen to my voice in the context of one of my songs called Emergency, and it's available on my album Hyperthermic Love. You'll find it in the description. I first removed some of the low end at 100 Hz, then boosted that same 100 Hz and attenuated it. So as I said earlier, I think that it's a matter of playing with the combination of those knobs and see how they interact with each other. Then I boosted a bit of 10K and with a fairly broad bandwidth, and removed a tiny bit of 700 Hz because I thought that the mid-range was a bit too present. So we'll listen to it without the EQ and then with.
Every time you leave the room, there's a new emergency. Don't surrender, pulled by the distance, 'cause I need you here. Every time you leave the room, there's a new emergency. Don't surrender, pulled by the distance, 'cause I need you here.
Right, now let's listen to it in solo without the EQ first.
Every time you leave the room, there's a new emergency.
With.
Don't surrender, pulled by the distance, because I need you here. Every time you leave the room, there's a new emergency. Don't surrender, pulled by the distance, because I need you here.
Maybe I've been a bit heavy-handed with the with the low end of this, and sometimes you don't actually need it. But I think that in this song particularly, and sometimes with other songs as well, acoustic songs especially, sometimes you need a tiny bit of that bottom end. When the song is very cluttered and there's a lot of elements, sometimes you just want a vocal that's very present, and that's where all the low information's been removed. But I don't think that's always the case. But here, yeah, maybe I've done a bit too much. But that's for the purpose of showing you this EQ. So in this song, I wanted a larger-than-life feel, and especially because I recorded all the vocals myself. So on the background vocals, I really wanted to have a choir-like effect. So I removed some of the low end again, around 150, and then added a bit of top end at 12K and removed a tiny bit of mid-range down there. So we'll listen to the excerpt without the EQ and then with. Right, so I quite like the focus and air that this 12K thing brings here. We'll listen to the vocal solo, the choir vocals solo without the EQ, and I'll alternate between the two. So yeah, I've tried in this demo to volume match every time, but I must admit that it's not easy, especially when you do changes from one instrument to the other. But I hope that you've enjoyed this video. I will always try to volume match whenever I show you a new plugin to try and show you, try and not deceive your ears with volume changes. When I first started mixing with analog emulations of hardware boxes, I actually started mixing with Pultec emulations, and especially on vocals and acoustic guitars, I really like that 12 to 16K shimmer that you can have on it. Actually, the acoustic guitar is my main instrument, and I do sing a lot as well, so it's very, very effective on those instruments. And also the Pultec trick, the low end that you can get, and the effectiveness of that is just great. So yeah, I don't know why, and to be totally honest, I actually left the Pultec EQs on the side for quite a bit of time because I wanted to try different channel strips, because I wanted to try different EQs, but I do love the sound of this. So a very, very good emulation, and I hope you'll check it out. Thank you very much for watching, for subscribing. I hope you're doing well. Let me know what your favorite Pultec emulations are. This is a great one, I think, and I hope that you'll like it. I'll see you guys very soon, and please be careful, and bye-bye.